different. Somebody wants to go for engineering, somebody wants to go for maybe medical, right? And many other fields. So path of everybody is different. It depends on their goals. So we need to decide, we should know what are the different paths available for each one of us, and we need to walk on those paths. So sometimes it is not clear, and when it is not clear, it is not achievable. So it's very important to decide our pathways, what path we need to follow so that we can achieve that. That is my way of looking at this. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Just like as you have described, pathway literally means a path that you chose. It can be anything, not just education, anything that you choose, or rather, you're always at a junction to choose between different paths. Sometimes it's right, sometimes wrong, sometimes about the kind of education that you want, sometimes the choices that you make, anything, it can be anything. That's exactly what how pathways works in Toastmasters. Uh, Any topic, any subject that comes to you, you should ask three questions: what, why, and how. So let's understand what is pathways before. I mean, pathways as per Toastmasters, right? Now, pathways is a flexible and interactive education program. It's officially launched in 2018, but it took until 2020, June 30, to be made official program. Why? Because there was a traditional program that was going on, and people were given enough time to complete their goals in traditional program and switch over to pathways. So from June 30, 2020, after June 30, or rather I would say July 1st, 2020, this became a fully adapted program for Toastmasters, and all traditional programs were not functional. Earlier, it was available in physical also. You can just go and order for extra $20 something. You can pay and then get the physical content to your house. But right now, it's completely online. It's multilingual, available in different languages. Right now, it's about 11 plus languages, including Tamil and Urdu. Now that we talked about what is pathways, why pathways? Well, you could say it's a pathways is a program, and how does it matter? Why? But it matters to us. Should I do my speeches in pathways? Or rather, as Pramod has mentioned today, why should I get trained or do the training of pathways before doing my speeches? What is that the pathways hold that I should be inclined to do my speeches from pathways? To start with, we are all joined Toastmasters for increasing our competencies, improving our confidence, and etc. Right? So Pathways has 300 and plus competencies to offer you. There are 11 specialized learning paths which are offering, or rather, it is based upon your aspirations, personal, professional, or in public speaking, or in communication. And then the skills that you learn from Pathways is for real world. Now that we'll get to know once we deep dive into Pathways. But now, this is the basic understanding. Now, talking about competencies, though there are 300 plus competencies, there are five core competencies, and these five are the decision factors for you to choose which path you want to go. Can you mute everybody? Thank you. Now, start with the five core competencies. First thing is the public speaking. Second is the interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, leading and managing, and building confidence. Now, we all have joined Toastmaster for increasing our confidence and also improving our public speaking skills. So every path has these two competencies, but the other three are the deciding factors for you to choose which path that you want to go with. Now, apart from this core competency, there are two more competencies There are part pathways and also your Toastmaster learning. Critical thinking, need to think on the spot, and then you need to speak, right? You also do it part of a Toastmaster meeting where you attempt a table topic. Active listening, almost every role that you're playing, general evaluator, or rather you would say grammarian, counter, a part of it, you learn active listening skills. And then evaluator is also one role that you have to do as part of the project evaluation and feedback. Now, critical thinking is of what you need to do. This part of this project called active listening, which is part of your level 2 or level 3, depending upon your path, right? So those competencies that you develop apart from this. Now coming to how do I select my path? How do I traverse through different projects? And how do I do my projects? And that's n number of things when it comes to how. So let's discuss about it. First is selecting a pathway. How do I do it? Now you need to traverse through this different things are given. Just go there, say you want to select a path. If you're joining as a new member, you are offered one new path. You don't need to pay for it, but then additional path you need to purchase at $20 extra fees. How do you do? You need to go with these selections. Then you can either take an assessment where you talk about your aspirations and also talk about your competence level at each thing. So they assess you based on that. They ask you questions, and then based upon your answers, they give the order of the paths that you can select. Otherwise, you can also just select path options where you can check on what has what each path has to offer, and then select the path. Now, I did my assessment when I started taking my first path. I did take the assessment, but I didn't like what portal has to offer. At that point of time, I had a challenge at my workplace to convince my peers to work together to achieve a common goal. Certain whether it is as part of my official work or other thing. So I chose persuasive influence as a path then because that was a challenge that I was facing, and it worked out later. Now it depends upon you whether you want to go with what Toastmaster is suggesting you in the order, or whether you have to want to go with other thing, but just exploring what each path has to offer. And this is how it happens. When you complete your survey, it orders all the paths like this, and then you can choose. Till here, you can always click on this path here and check what it has to offer as projects in each level, right? Now, if it is an assessment, this is how it comes. Now, this is where I'm going with the path option. Now here I'm going with an assessment. Now here you need to answer each question and rate yourself out of that 3. And then you need to select the 3 topics that you are eager to learn in Toastmaster. And then out of that, when you answer all the questions, then it again orders in a way, and you can choose from that order which path you want to go with. Now that we are done, there's another way to choose your path. Now, all paths have competencies that it has to offer. Now, we have talked about 5 core competencies. These 5 core competencies that you are seeing here, and then this map here. Let's look at that. Again, I'll repeat the core competencies: public speaking, interpersonal communication. Just a minute. Yeah, public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, management, and confidence. Now, let us look at what each path has to offer. For example, you look at dynamic leadership. It again, I told you, every path offers you both the competencies, public speaking and confidence. But then the deciding factor these three. Now, dynamic leadership offers you interpersonal communication and management apart from it. Now, irrespective of where you are, what you are doing, dynamic leadership is something that you can explore where you want to see how you can apply situational leadership in your position. Now, let us say that you are in a senior management position and you want to coach your team so that they can get better at things. Example, we are at a VP or SVP level. You thing, or if you're an entrepreneur where you want to build next set of leadership to enable the organization, or effective coaching is one, where you have the competency of interpersonal communication and management skills that you're applying here, right? And then engaging humor and presentation mastery both have just public speaking and confidence. But then engaging humor is when you want to improve your humorous skills, same time while giving speeches. Now, presentation mastery is just when you want to improve your presentation, whether it is how you give speeches or visualize, or maybe how you want to improve doing your presentations better. Or you want to like improve the way that you're presenting, speaking before an audience or before your colleagues, before your senior leadership, can be anything. That, for example, if you want to improve the way that you're planning things and doing things ahead, that innovative planning is fun. And what he has to offer is your management. And you see the order is changing here. The stress is more on management, and second is your interpersonal communication. Now, way that you manage and you plan and the way that you communicate also matters. For example, if I'm planning something, if I'm not communicating, that's a problem there. I should be able to plan ahead and also communicate that. So there are projects and innovative planning where you need to communicate the change that is coming, the plan that you have for the club, or etc. It can be anything. So all that you have to do is part of this projects in innovative planning. Now, leadership development is where you are aspiring to be a leader. For example, you're getting promoted as a team leader, manager, or something, any position, leadership position, or you want to improve your leadership skills. This leadership development is for you. Now, two, interpersonal communication, four, management. So starting with interpersonal communication, where you're able to communicate, and the management later that comes to you. Motivational strategies. And this is my second part. I wanted to motivate people. Now, again, the interpersonal communication and strategic leadership, where you're able to motivate people. If you want to develop strategies where you can motivate people, this path is for you. Persuasive influence, as I've mentioned before about my experience, about at the end of this path, I was able to persuade and influence my team members to do the activities that we had to do as part of our project and also the other activities in the company. Now, again, it has strategic leadership and the interpersonal communication. So you develop that as part of the projects that are given there. When you want to persuade and also become an influence, if you are a social influencer, then also this is something that you can take up. Presentation mastery we discuss, and strategic relationship. As they say, your network is your net worth. But how do you develop within the organization or outside the organization or anywhere else? How do you develop that network? How do you make strategic relationship that might be helpful to you, to the organization or the team that you're working in? This is very much necessary. For example, in our organization, certain teams that we work with have some tat. But if I have to break the tat as a leader and get the work done early, only such relationship can help. That you develop as part of this project, this path, the projects as part of it where you keep learning it. So two and three again, interpersonal communication and strategic leadership. Only with communication you develop the skills as part of it. Team collaboration is when you want to become a better collaborator within your team, working with a team that you want to do. This is good for you if you're an individual contributor or where as a leader that you want to have a collaborative team. The visionary communication is again just like innovative planning. This is where you You want to develop your communication. Now that I've seen across the IT industry, many people suffer from this problem. They're not able to communicate properly, and they're not able to communicate ahead. And this has caused jeopardy. Recently, somebody called me and was talking about a situation where he just joined a company, and he had some knowledge transfer from the previous employee. He was leaving, that he didn't get entire knowledge of the project before that guy left. And he just working with that knowledge and started managing team, but he was not able to manage time to learn that process and same time manage the two teams that he was allocated. And he was not, as he didn't communicate that, what happened was that a new person was hired to manage one of his teams, and management started looking at him like as a failure. And I was discussing with him. I told the simple thing that you could have done was to communicate with the management saying that this is what is happened. And I didn't get the entire knowledge. So I need time to process things and then also take over the teams. And that could have resolved you, and you would have not been in this position. You see the importance of communication now. Visionary communication is where you see things well ahead and start communicating, and this will help you, organization, and also the management, because management looks at only the effect of what is happening. They will not look into you, and they're not your parents, of course, trying to understand it, trying to come and ask you every time what's happened, why this and what this does. They'll just look at what's happening, what is the end effect of it. So these are the things, your personal aspiration, professional aspiration, and also the competency that decide which path you want to choose. Now that we have discussed about this, let us look into the other aspect, what each path has to offer. Now, each path has 5 levels, and let us look into that part. The first level is where you are mastering your fundamentals. The first question that you ask in any interview is, tell me something about yourself. Now that is what you do as part of your icebreaker. You introduce yourself to the club, where you talk about yourself. That entire journey of maybe 20, 30, 40, 50, 70, 80, 90, it doesn't matter. You are narrating all that story within just 4 to 6 minutes. Now, as part of this, you're learning how to effectively introduce yourself and also put everything as part of 4 to 6 minutes timing. Now, why prepared speeches? If somebody asks me why prepared speeches, I would say that putting that entire story into this timing is where I'm learning how to effectively communicate, able to communicate the entire crux of the subject within that time is improving my language, because English is not the first language for many nations. We start improving our language. Second, we also learn how to effectively communicate. Doesn't matter which language you're from. The thing is how to play with the words so that you can communicate better. The timing that is given. You start changing your draft several times to fit into that timeline. We have to talk about the rate of speech that we need to deliver usually is 80 to 100 words, so that audience can understand irrespective of where they are from. Now for that is how you divide how many minutes that I speak, 4 to 6 minutes or 5 to 7 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes, it doesn't matter. So accordingly multiply that and start editing your draft, rewrite, check it, verify it several times that you do, right? That's how you learn to communicate better. And that's how you start doing these things. Now, icebreaker is where you introduce yourself, talk about your entire life. Putting in that time is the challenge, but you start learning it. You learn how to introduce yourself and also how to write your speech effectively. Second is your write speech with a purpose. Now, whatever we speak or whatever you write, whatever we communicate, there's always a purpose to it. But then are we staying on the purpose while we are communicating is a challenge for too many. So we do that as part of this project is where we learn how to go around the purpose and stay on the purpose while we communicate in that 5 to 7 minute speech. And this is necessary when we write emails, especially if you are a professional. For example, you are presenting test results. You always have something, right? You want people to take some action out of it. You have that purpose out of there, and then you write in the entire email based upon that. Again, any speech, you have also have all those parts in your email too. The way that you communicate, the way that you write email, it's everywhere. I would say anything and everything is a prepared speech. It matters how you are doing it. As a Toastmaster, you start structuring everything after you effectively start giving speeches. Third is your introduction to vocal variety and body language, hand gestures and body language, and also the vocal variety. It enhances the speech. So that's what you learn as part of it. Now, thing is, I've seen people getting confused, just like Pramod taught today. People just look at the title and then go and just give some speech and they think they can do it. But you learn if you're doing training. You learn a lot how vocal variety enhances speech and also how body language enhances speech. Now, the purpose of this speech is either one of them, not two of them. Either use vocal variety because that has a speech profile, the voice profile, or body language. That's again has another evaluation form. Now you have to choose which one are you presenting as part of this, and then accordingly give that evaluation form to your evaluator. You can present any speech as part of it. Now, thing is, level one, leaving icebreaker, other speeches are very generic. You can pick up any topic around the world and then speak on that, right? But then what you need to concentrate upon is purpose of the speech. In writing speech with a purpose, where you have a purpose, and second is you all have a topic for it and then have a central idea, go around that. Last is evaluation feedback. Now we can improve only when we are taking some feedback from people and able to apply it. As a leader, you can grow, or as an individual contributor, you can grow only when you have the ability to listen, get the feedback, apply it in your life. That's what you learn as part of it. You have to give a speech, get the feedback from people, or rather evaluator, and apply it to your next speech and repeat. And then a third assignment is where you evaluate somebody. Then you are active listener to them. Then where you have to give specific and also feedback to that person. So you're learning three things. First thing is applying feedback, and the other one speech with a structure. Then the other thing is applying feedback and repeating speech, and the third thing is to evaluate somebody. So three assignments that you are do. Overall, your level one has 5 speeches and 1 evaluation that you have to do as part of it. Now, level 2 is more your learning your style, your leadership style, your communication style, the way that you manage time, that way that active listening that we talked about earlier, effective body language, cross-cultural understanding. There's one beautiful project, cross-cultural understanding. I still remember this lady from Peru when she gave her speech in Toastmaster for Hyderabad entrepreneurs. She talked to me at least for 1 to 2 hours, and she spent time to understand the culture of India, how we interact, how we take a certain words, and then she spent the time in understanding, and then she spent time also doing research on her own culture, then start speaking on cross-cultural understanding in her speech. I think that was one of the best projects that we can have because due to part that when people don't understand the consequences of not understanding other culture is where it leads to a position where you are insensitive to other people. Certain kind of things that you say might be a joke to some you, but not to others. For example, when I joined a meeting in New Zealand, they were talking what they felt about the nationals of certain country. I felt that was offensive. And now also a international leader who had to leave the organization of Toastmasters because of something insensitive that she said, certain nation, right? That is why the cross-cultural understanding is very important for us. That's why we have it in one of the projects there. Now, these are all projects where you understand your leadership style or your style, and then you introspect into your life, try to understand what you did well or what you didn't go well, and how you can do better. Bring your personal stories out of your life. This is a wonderful thing, I would say. And then coming to your level 3 is where you are increasing knowledge of your path. Now, negotiating best outcome, how do you negotiate better? What are different styles of negotiation? And how did you apply in your life? And then how do you want to do in future? Now, just like the technical past, present, future. So how did it work well? Did it work well? How you are doing now and what you want to do in future? Something like that. You can always do it, right? And then present a proposal. We all have been in a position where you need to present a proposal. For example, if you are giving an elevator pitch, investment pitch, or whether you present something like when your boss asks you to talk about, do some research and bring out which project that we can pick up or which software that we can pick up. Anything, it can be anything, right? Where you're presenting a proposal. For example, even from your organization, you're talking to a customer where you need to present a proposal that you are doing as part of it. Planning and implementing, where you need to do a plan and then implement it. So you need to develop a plan and then you need to implement it and then talk about it. So you need to present a plan and then your experience after implementing it. Understanding emotional intelligence. Again, this is a wonderful project, I would say, where you need to understand your emotions and what is the effect that it makes on other people, and then how you can overcome that, or how you have overcome that. You can talk about it. Persuasive speaking is where you need to persuade a certain group of people and then to an outcome that you decide to do. I think that's a great skill that you can learn. You understanding conflict resolution, how you can resolve conflicts. You learn different techniques in that, and then again introspect, and then talk about different situation that you are in, or you can just create your own imaginary situation there and talk about that, right? Make connections through networking. Now again, as I talked about before, your network is your network. So talk about situations there. As part of it, I spoke about how I have made my how I have made connections in different parts of the world and what was my experience out of it. The fun thing was one of my friends could travel to a country called Benin just through my network. I built in Toastmasters and he was able to make a big purchase of cashews that he bought back here, and he's built made a good profit out of it. That's possible only through networking, right? And that's possible the network I made. Successful collaboration, how you can collaborate well and make a work and successful team that you do. And communication plan, where you need to develop a communication plan and present it. Your experience is what you do out of that you present in a form of speech. Remember, you do projects and then you present a speech out of it. Now everything is a speech. These are just core projects. Well, there are other projects where you need to connect with storytelling, connect with audience, understand your audience, and then also where you need to develop your audience awareness, etc. Voice, where you need to understand your vocal variety, understand your sense of humor, everything. There's several projects that you do as part of level 3 electives where you can do a lot of wonders, I would say. Level 3 is one of the best levels in any path because you get to expose yourself to so many things. Now, while you have to do like 4 projects in level 1 and 3 projects in level 2, level 2 has also a project where you need to pay respect to your mentors as part of understanding mentoring in Toastmasters project. There are 2 projects and one mentoring that is common across any level 2. And in level 3, one core project and 2 electives that you can choose from all those 13 electives. It's up to you if you want to do more than one elective also, because the crux is learning more, not jumping across like a jumping jack and then trying to complete levels. It's all about speaking more and exposing yourself to different kind of audience and increasing your comfort and also your confidence. And that's level 3. Let's come to level 4 is where you build your skills. Manage change. How do you manage the change? And then manage project successfully is where you present one speech and talk about the project that you want to do. You introduce your team and your goals and etc. And then after you complete the project, then again repeat, give a second speech talking about your experience. The first speech is only 2 to 3 minutes. Your second speech is about 5 to 7 minutes. Leading your team is again when you lead a team and then get a common goal. You need to talk about your experience to do that. It can be inside Toastmasters, outside Toastmasters, depends upon it. Motivate others is how do you need to do a project, or rather you need to motivate certain kind of people to do things. As part of it, what I did was to we had a few people who were renewing or and then also who were just leaving across. Certain people were not renewing, and then some people who were renewing and never serious about doing anything in Toastmasters. What I did was to form new mentors and then start mentoring people who are inactive and then work with them to achieve goals. So help them at least complete their level 1. And I developed this plan called Mission Level 1 and then help them at least to complete level 1. That helped them become more active. So we were able to retain more members and also activate the old members. So that was my project with developing mentors, creating new mentors, and also getting mentors, current mentors to do more as part of that framework that I developed. And it helped a lot in the club I was part of. So that is, I did that. So you choose what you want to do. Maybe in the club, outside Toastmasters too. Leading in difficult situations is where you need to suggest a difficult situation that you are part of or you will be part of. Just imagine a situation and talk about how will you lead there. Or rather, you can talk about experience that you are part of, where you led, and then how you have led there. And managing a difficult situation is the same thing, where you have how do you manage the situation? You talk about the different situations that can arise, and how do you manage it. PR strategies is where you talk about how you can advertise certain things. What are the different strategies that you can do it? Motivate others is again is something, and communicate change is very how do you communicate change? It's part of your level 3 too. Now demonstrating expertise is level 5. Now any level 5 common project is you reflect your path, but then other will you give that in the end of the path. But there are two projects that you need to do. One is core and others are from electives that you need to choose. Again, it can be HPL, high performance leadership, where you have to work upon with certain team. You set up your goals, set a plan, communication plan. How do you want to achieve your goals and etc. And also, you need to communicate that in your first speech. Talk about introduce your team, your goals, your timeline, what is your communication plan, etc. And then your second speech, you need to talk about the experience out of working with the team and achieving that goal, right? And that you need to give only after achieving your goal. Well, Lisa is working on a very good HPL in big scale there. And the manage successful events is where you manage a successful event, right? Where like events that you manage, anything that you are managing, and how do you manage it? You can talk about experience after you manage an event. That it can be, for example, an open house in your club, or maybe a panel discussion that you are managing. It can be anything inside Toastmaster, outside Toastmaster. For example, you have manager event outside, at a personal level, at a function that you are managing. You can talk about experience. Team building is a team building activity that we generally do in a corporate level, that you can have a team building night in your Toastmaster club or outside Toastmasters. As part of it, what I did was I have taken up one event in my club of being a chief judge for a what do you call a contest, and then I started having team building activities with all the role players in a different set, and then that has opened up opportunities for us to know each other. And that way, though people were from different clubs and different nations there, we got to know about each other, whether it is the judges briefing, or whether it is the contestant briefing, or whether it is the briefing of the role players. We did the team building activities and it's fun. And then prepare to speak professionally, you need to speak for 18 to 22 minutes. You learn different aspect where you need to speak 18 to 22 minutes, and there's a longest speech that you have in Toastmaster pathways. Now you have to talk on a topic that you want to choose, or maybe you can discuss with your VP education, uh, vice president education, and talk about the topic that you choose. Now, most of our real-time speeches are longer speeches. For example, yesterday I was giving a motivational speech on girl education. So it lasted for more than 1 hour. So I did share my stage with another speaker, but then that that needed more than half an hour in speaking and then interacting with people, everything included. So how do you do that? Is when you practice such speeches, prepare to speak professional, because outside Toastmasters, when you need to speak professionally, is 18 to 22 minutes or more than that. Now, leading your in a volunteer organization is any volunteer organization that you lead, and then you talk about your experience. So I talked about my experience leading at club level, at area level, at division level. And leading any situation is what we talked about, is something, any situation, how do you lead irrespective of the situation that you face? That can be your professional experience, your personal experience, or maybe in Toastmasters, you talk about it. Develop your vision is where you develop a vision and present it as part of this project. These are the core projects, and sometimes the part electives too. So as I told, one core, one elective, and then one thing that you need to complete in the level 5 is reflect your path. Now, your level 1 is common across each path. Your level 2, it may change, but the one thing that you need to remember is common project is understand like about mentoring, where you need to pay respect to your mentors as part of this project. Talk about your experience being a mentee or protege. And then level 3 is where again one core and two electives. Level 4 is one core and one elective. Level 5 is one core and one elective. And then the last phase reflect on your path where you complete your path. So that is your journey in a pathway. One thing that you need to remember is you need to, when you open up your project, you need to do the training. And when you do the training, always you need to map on where were you before completing that project and where are you after the completed project. That is how you map yourself, and then start tracking an Excel sheet, talking about what was your confidence level. For example, there's a survey that you do at each project, and you open it up. Out of 5, rate yourself on the different competencies that the project has to offer. When you answer those questions, it you rate yourself out of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, anything it can be. So now, after the speech, you rate yourself again. That's how you complete a project after completing the speech. Now that you need to track that and also take the feedback that you receive from your evaluator and start tracking it. For my speech, for first speech, this. For my second speech, this. For my third speech, like. That's how you track your growth, and then that's how the areas of improvement and start working on it. And then you also have a section in path like Basecamp where you can upload your evaluation sheets. That will help you to track and not to lose these PDFs that people generally fill and send to you. Even if you're giving a physical sheet where if people fill it up and send, just scan it and upload there. So that will give you an option to track it whenever and wherever you want. Overall, thing is, Pathways is an excellent program and a flexible program. But just like as I keep suggesting every time, I keep saying it, up to you how you want to choose it. If you are just jumping through your as a corporate learning, just clicking tuck, 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 and trying to finish it, or are you going through each and everything that it has to offer you, and then learn it and reflect on your speech and then do it better? Is your choice. You have a knife in your kitchen. You want to cut your vegetables, you want to cut your fruit, or you want to kill somebody. The choice is yours. If you just complete 2 paths in one day, you can do it. Nobody stops you. Maybe give some chocolate or ice cream to your VP education and then get it completed. But then who is the loser? Choice is yours. I'm open now for questions.
Thank you, DTM Raghu. In the interest of time, maybe we take